Hello, everyone, and welcome to another stream of the MakeCode our advanced stream, Arcade Advanced. I'm Daryl from MakeCode at Darzoo on the forum.
I'm Richard, both on the forum and in real life.
I'm Shannon at Shakao on the forum.
Awesome. So we were talking before the stream a little bit about what to do, and we thought we would show another extension that can be really useful when working with tile maps, specifically when working with multiple tile maps. So we've seen in a number of our streams how to build cool games using tile maps. I think we use it in like most of our streams, we use tile maps. But one thing that's maybe not obvious is that there are ways to have multiple different tile maps, like different rooms or different levels or things like that. So we'll talk a bit about that now. So the first thing we're going to do is in the advanced section down here, there's this button extensions. So on stream before, we've opened the extensions dialog before. So if we search for an extension called tile maps and ignore everything that says local, these are all these extensions that I'm working on. But somewhere in your list should be this one called tile maps. You could go learn more. It's on GitHub, but we'll just click on this, and this is going to add a new category for us called tile map. And in here, you see a bunch more blocks working with tile maps. And you might see some stuff in here that maybe you were looking for before in the tile map in the scene category that weren't available. So, like for example, you can get the location of a sprite on a tile map. This is something that we commonly see people looking for.
Sure. So Daryl, how would you say, like, I've been working on a bunch of tile map games in Arcade, right? Mm-hmm. I've just been making them all day and night, just using everything that's in the scene category. Yeah. When should I move to use the tile maps thing? What are the things that I like?
Yeah. So if there's something, like, one thing is if there's just some stuff that you're trying to do with tile maps that are really hard, or you can't figure out, then it might be worth looking at the tile map category extension just to see if what you need is there. But kind of the bigger features I would say that the tile map gives you is one, like a way to work with multiple tile maps if you want to have like multiple tile maps and move between them. And two, if you want to like create sprites on, like, at one location, or like in many locations on a tile map, you want to like create a certain sprite of a certain kind. There's some blocks that we'll get into that make that much easier. Would you add anything to that, or what would you say?
No, I think that's right. If you're trying to do something with levels, you can do those with just the built-in scene category blocks, but it's a lot easier with the tile map thing because you can do things that you would imagine you'd be able to do with levels, like having an array of them that you go through. And the other thing that's very difficult to do with our existing tile map thing, but very easy to do with the tile map category, is just, like you said, connecting different locations. So if you have a town and inside the town there's a shop, or you're in a building and you're going through different rooms, the tile map extension makes those much easier.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right, so let's take a look at how to do some of that. So I think first off, let's see how to just create a tile map with this new extension in such a way that we can connect it to other tile maps. So in the creation heading in the tile maps category, there's this block that says set current tile map to, and it takes an argument that is a tile map. So I'm going to drag this out. And this is very similar to set tile map to, except that set tile map to in the scene category doesn't take an argument. And so you can't change what level you're talking about dynamically. So to sort of show that off, so for here, I can edit a tile map just like I normally would, but I'm actually going to store my level as a variable. So I'm going to create a variable called room1, and I'm going to set my tile map, assign it to that variable, and then I'm going to load set current tile map to room 1. So now if I edit this, let's see. So does anyone remember the screen dimensions? Was it like 8 by 10 or something?
Other way around.
10 by 8. Right.
10 by 7.
So 10 by 10 by 7
No.
is roughly the it's like 7.5, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So 10 by 8 is roughly the size of a single screen. So I'm just going to show off. And let me just, I don't know, I'm going to just make a wall color, a wall tile here. And let me just draw a box. Okay, so this is our little room. And now you should see our little room show up on the screen here. And so our room is now part of this variable. So we could do something like, have another room. I'm going to make a new variable called like room 2. And I can go to the tile maps category and I can drag in tile map here. And this time I'm going to make another wall that's maybe teal. So this is a new tile. So I'm just showing, actually, yeah, let me set the dimensions to what we had, 10 by 8. This is just showing, I brought up the tab, help, that I can have different levels and different variables. So now I've got two levels in these 2 different variables, and then I could do something like, let's see, maybe like I'll do a % chance you get one level versus the other, or if you guys have any ideas, I'll connect these later with like doors or something, but let me just show off how. So let's say you have a 30% chance to get room 1, and otherwise you get the teal room. So if we refresh this a few times, you should see, there's the purple one, otherwise we get the teal one.
Yeah, cool. So I was so let's think of a type of location, and we don't need to do art for it, but let's just kind of build out that location instead of just doing these rooms with different color walls.
Yeah, these are hypothetical.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's make this one like a shop or something like that. So I'm going to say this is like a dungeon, and there's a bunch of chests here, or maybe it's like a treasure room. And this other location, let's see. I think let's have like, maybe we'll fight some monsters in here or something.
So let's take one step back real quick.
Yeah.
What do we want the game to be doing? And why is this extension making it a little easier? So
all right.
We could just make this a game where we're going to be walking in between different rooms, like different parts of the dungeon. Could be an overworld. We could have a town, and we're walking into shops and people's houses, and there's this big map that's connecting everything. I don't know. Any ideas?
Could be a spaceship with different rooms. Could be a train with different cars.
Okay. I like the space station one. Let's do that. So we can have let's come up with some rooms real quick. A life support room. Cargo hold.
Engine.
Yep. Engine.
The bridge. The front.
The bridge. Yeah.
Yep.
You were saying something.
That's a lot of rooms.
We don't need to do art for them. We can just say what they are.
We'll pick some set of them. Hangar. I forget if we said that.
A hangar for mechs to be in.
Yes. All right. Let's go with like hangar and bridge. I feel like those are 2 exciting rooms. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to rename these variables to hangar bay and bridge. So these are. What's that?
It's hangar with nay.
I got it?
Yep.
Wow. How did I not know that? Okay. Hangar bay. Okay, so I'm not gonna do great art. Let's see here.
Like, you know, people have imagination. We can just do solid color walls and just have some spots where doors can connect things, and we can put in some big stuff that we call planes.
I'm gonna oops. I'm gonna try writing hanger.
You just need a couple things that go in hangers. Oh yeah.
Man, okay, this is not gonna. I'm not gonna write hanger. I'll do. Try a little spaceship. Oh man.
I think
Spaceship
if you made like landing strip lines where spaceships would park, that would.
Yeah.
But also the characters can just say like, I'm in the hangar.
Right. Do these look like? Oh, no, this looks awful. Okay, I think I'm gonna go top down. I was trying to do like from the side, but I just have no idea how I do a hanger from the side. Okay, let me do the strip lines like Shannon suggested. Let's see, maybe something. I don't know how that's gonna look. Something.
It doesn't have to be perfect. This is fine.
Okay, this is our hanger. Let's well, we know that's the hanger. We'll get back to that. Man, I do not feel on my art game today. All right, let's try the bridge. Let's see. So what do you need in bridge? You need lots of consoles, like people are at computers and things, and maybe like windows.
You could also just circle that's the steering wheel, and then some squares that are consoles.
Yeah, windows are good. I think consoles, windows.
Yeah, let's see. So, but I decided to go top.
The amount of art that Daryl has to draw.
That's fair.
I like the steering wheel. So, even though we're in space, I think our species is somewhat nostalgic for nautical themes. So we'll go with a kind of wooden looking wheel. Kind of a wheel. Okay, got a wheel in the middle. Man, I do not have art inspiration today. Okay, so we got two rooms. Let's just see how we could like walk around and maybe get between these. So I'm going to create some sort of player. And let's see. So top down. What did we decide with top down? Like the best thing? Actually, I'm just going to take character. Who do we not use very often?
The dog.
Keep going down. Oh yeah, space dog.
Space dog. Okay, where is?
Up at the top. On the right side. Scroll down a bit. There it is.
Ah, yes. There it is. Awesome. Okay, so we got a little dog. And let's rename this to the player, as we all like to do. And I'm gonna move around the player with controls. So the dog is in the hangar bay right now, and I don't have any walls set here. Let me just set those real quick so that our character can't walk outside of the bounds. Okay, so now we can't walk out. So now the question becomes, how do we transition between the different rooms? So for that, I'm going to, well, what do you guys think? Any ideas?
So I think setting the initial tile map randomly is going to come back to bite us. So how about we start in the
let's do that. All right, so getting between these, how do we get from the bridge to the hangar bay? Any thoughts?
So you could add a door.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the player touches the door, then you could switch the current tile map to a different.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, let's add a door. So from the bridge, I'm going to, anything we can use that would be a good door. Let me see. Are these doors? What are these supposed to be?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. It's not exactly the same theme, but we will use it. And I'm going to remove the wall here so that our player can reach the door. Okay, so now we have a door on our bridge. And let's see, to get to the next level, what we could do is something like on player overlaps with the door, then update some variable and maybe call a function to like change level or something. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll see a different way how to do that afterwards. What do you guys think? Or should we just go to the other way?
Let's just do it the tile map way.
Okay. So instead of checking for overlaps, well, actually, we might still need to do that. But instead of like having our own variable to track like which level we're on and where we need to go, TileMaps has a kind of a built-in way to think about some of these things, and that's in this heading here called connections. So there's these blocks that let you connect two different tile maps with a certain name, and the let's try that out. So if I go here, one second, let me just mute notifications.
Scroll up.
Crap. Okay. So let's connect two different maps. So Hangar Bay and Bridge. We're going to connect them by a name. And so we helpfully have these like pre-built names. So we'll just go with door 1. We'll just call this location door 1 from now on. And so what this connection does is it lets us, when we're ready to switch levels, we can use that connection. So let's see what that looks like. So if we go to the scene category and drag out this on sprite of kind player overlaps blank. So when the sprite of kind player overlaps the door location, we want to run some code. And if we look at the connections, there's this block that says load tile map connected by door 1. So what this is going to do is going to say, okay, whatever tile map you're currently on, go find to see if it's connected to anything else by the name door 1. And so in our case, Hangar is connected by Bridge. And so let's see what happens here. So when we overlap, then you see that we showed up in the Hangar. So this is a neat, feature of the tile map extension that lets you fairly easily, transition between levels like that without you having to manage arrays and things yourself. All right, let's add a way to get back, huh? What if we just kind of do the same thing but in the opposite direction? So I'm going to go to that same. Let's take this. Is that here? And erase the wall here. Okay. So now, when I go through here, I end up in the Hangar Bay. But when I come back here, nothing happens, and that's because the two doors are actually different tiles. So I'm just gonna Control C, Control V to duplicate that block, and I'm just gonna select the other door. So we want the same thing to happen on either of these doors. Or tile overlaps is just go through door 1. So now let's see how this works. So I can go back and forth. All right, so one thing you'll notice that's strange is like go through the door here.
First. So you only did the connection one time though. You only connected the Hangar Bay to the bridge by door 1. Do you want to kind of explain how that works?
Oh yeah. So the connections are they're two directional, so they go in both way. So the Hangar Bay is connected to the bridge, but also the bridge is connected to the Hangar Bay. So if I swap these two variables here, it's exactly the same meaning. So that's a handy way to make it so that when you have, doors and stuff in a game, and you want to go into a shop and then come out of a shop or something like that, it's just kind of implicitly bidirectional. Like, doors in real life, you can open a door and go through it, and then, unless you're in the Matrix or something, you can usually open the door and get back out. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, what would happen if I called that block but I wasn't in a room that was connected by door 1?
That's a good question. Let's try it. So I'm going to remove this block here, and then let's see what happens. And nothing happens. And yeah, so if there is no connection, then it just does nothing. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Cool.
I have a question, which is that you connected it once and you're connecting it by door 1, but you're using 2 different doors in the town.
Yeah, that's because, so this door 1 is actually just this, it's just a name. So we could we could call it like pipe 1. Maybe these are like, pipes, or whatever. And if I switch it in all of these places, it doesn't matter kind of what the tile is. In fact, actually, I could say, so if you overlap, the steering wheel, then change rooms. So, and maybe when you overlap the runway, you change rooms, which doesn't really make any sense thematically, but it can work. Yeah. So there's one thing that's bothering me about how this transition is working right now, which is that when I come through this door, I'm on the same part of the screen, but I'm not at the door. Like, logically, you would sort of think that when you come through the door, you would be on the door. If that makes sense.
Like, why would you walk all the way to that door if you can clearly just teleport to the next room?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And that's because so tilemap doesn't change the position of your sprite when it's changing tilemap. So notice that the sprite is in the same position, and so we have to handle that ourselves. And we can do this like we do many times with tilemaps, which is use a place my sprite on top of block. In this case, we can use the place my sprite on top of random to say on top of a. So if let me see. So the sprite represents the player who just went through or overlapped that door. So when we go through a door facing that direction, then we want to be placed on a door facing the opposite direction because they're paired, and I can copy and paste and do the opposite here. So now I have this pairing of overlap this, show up there, overlap this, show up there. So now when I come through, if all works well, now you have this like continuity. It seems like, the bridge is on the left and hangar's on the right, and I can sort of maintain that mental model.
Yep. It's important to know, though, that even though it looks like he is starting at 0, 0, going to the next map, and then he's at like 120, the camera hasn't moved. We're just replacing the tile map. So there's only one system. Yeah. Top left is always 0, 0. And when he's moving between rooms, it just looks like the camera has scrolled to the right. It's just a trick we're playing.
Yes, definitely. In fact, I'm going to show that by just having the whoops. I'm going to have the.
So Daryl, if you go into the flags block, there's one called Show Physics, and it'll show you your location.
Oh, I forgot about that block. Okay, so this is a really handy block. So under set my sprite stain screen on and off, there's a bunch of other useful things you can do. We call these the flags. So one of them is, where is it? Show physics. We can set that on. I can just do that in on game update for the player, or sorry, on start for the player. I don't need these other blocks. Okay, so now you can get some really handy diagnostic information. Like you can see the V is the velocity, and when the V isn't there, then the velocity is 0, 0. And otherwise you see the X and Y coordinates. So, so the top left is, pretty close to 0, and the bottom right is pretty far from it. And then when I go through, to the other room, these numbers are the same as they were when I'm in this room as well. Yeah, so just, what Richard was saying, the coordinates of the sprite are, they don't get added to when you switch rooms, if that makes any sense. Each room acts as if it's the whole world. All right, so any ideas on what we should add next?
Well, there's no place to eat on this ship, and
yeah,
if we've got a hangar bay, we have to assume that it's going, cross galaxy flights. So
yeah, cafeteria or something.
Mess hall, I believe.
Mess hall. All right, let's do that. So I'm just gonna duplicate one of these set variable blocks. I'm gonna make a new variable. Let's call it mess hall, and the mess hall, it will, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I want a new tile map. I don't want to edit an old tile map. Okay, so I'm gonna move this. So now I got a fresh new tile map. I'm gonna set this again to be 10 by 8. And hit done. And now, I don't know, I'm just gonna use one of the other wall colors that we came up with and mark these.
We should have like places where you can spawn different food items that you can pick up in the mess hall.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So maybe we should make this a game, with some sort of challenge or something you're trying to do.
Well, I'm still about how you're going to connect more than one room to a single room, because it seems like you can only have one connection for pipe 1, right? So
right. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's get that before we get the gameplay. So question, should the mess hall be on the left of the bridge, or where should it be placed?
I'm going to make it hard for you. It should be to the right of the hangar.
Right of the hangar. Okay, so first I'm going to go to the hangar, and I'm going to add a new door. So, I see what Richard is getting at here. So I'm going to add a new door to the right, and I'm going to use our door tile. And
you actually used a different door tile.
I did.
Yeah. You used the one with bars on it. You used the open
one.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't realize. Okay.
Sorry, you almost got around my trap.
I did almost get around your trap. Richard has set a trap for me, so let's go fall into the trap. Okay, so I got a hanger. And wait a second. So let me think. We've got a bridge. When we overlap this, we go to the connection. Richard, do you have any idea what's happening? What did I do wrong? So let's see. When spread of kind player overlaps, one moment. I'm trying to understand what I did in my code.
Can you remove the mess hall variable?
Yeah, let's try that. Let's disable that.
I think something might have happened when you duplicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we encountered a bug. Let me refresh the page and see if that fixes it. It's a trusty fallback. Encountering issues. All right. Nope.
Just open your tile maps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other one.
So
we'll see if I
click on the yeah. And the hanger. So the oh, actually no, this is correct. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we'll fix that. But in the meantime, I think I can let me try creating a new bridge. I think this bridge might just be having some trouble. So I'm gonna again say this is 10 by 8. And I'm going to use the same sort of layout that we had before. Place that there. Let's go back to the dungeon and find that door. To the right. Do you remember, did I use bars? This one?
Yep.
Okay. And let's do the wall. Wall here, except we want to erase the wall over this door. Okay. And let's see if that works. No. Okay, so something is
Can you try deleting the extra ones entirely?
Like a hangar bay?
No, the disabled.
Like that's all.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
Same thing. Bridge, hangar bay, current map. I think this is all fine. I might try. Would it help if I peeked under the hood TypeScript?
Probably not. Well, sure. Take a look. I was kind of wondering how this was working before, though. So if you overlap the door going to the right, aren't you immediately overlapping the door going to the left, and wouldn't it teleport you back?
Oh, good point. Maybe that's...
Yeah, there's some issues with our overlaps thing.
Oh, I see. So maybe this is actually how it's supposed to behave, and somehow we got lucky earlier.
Yeah, I was pretty confused when that worked earlier, but...
Okay, so, right. So what seems to be happening here is we are going through this door, we're going to the other level, and then since we're placing ourselves on top of the door back out, we're immediately traveling through the door yet again. And I sort of would expect...
Well, no, because if that was the case, you would be bouncing back and forth like a crowd.
No, because what happens is you go to the right, you get put on the left side of the screen. It teleports you back to the previous room where there isn't one of the doors that it's looking for.
Shouldn't it also call this place sprite on top of random other?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we can pretty easily roll this out if you just change X by 16 for the...
Yeah. So let's... So once we go through this door, let's, for the sprite, let's change its X position by 16. So once we come through the door, we don't want to be on the door, but we want to be a little bit past it. So we're going to first place on top of the door and then go past it. And so that doesn't fix this case. Wait, what if I do something like 20? Let's see. So going through here. Okay. So load map connected by... I'm going to try something.
Yep.
Let me try
you guys saw earlier while we were loading this extension. There's a little beta ribbon on it.
Yes. We might need to revisit this extension in a future episode because we're running into some bugs. Okay, so interesting. So it looks like the connections aren't quite working right because when I manually tell it how to load the map, it's working.
I know what's happening. I know what's happening.
All right, what's happening?
It's because you put the second door in the hangar. So it's teleporting you over, it's teleporting you back, and before you do the place on top. So if you go into the hangar bay and get rid of that door on the right.
Yeah. Let's put grass there.
That should fix it.
So
yeah.
Wait, why? Let me think.
So what's happening is you're switching the tile map. The on overlap event is firing while you're still over there, but before the place on top of has run. Then it's teleporting you back to the other room. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So we fell into actually, I think Richard was leading to something like this, but this is sort of different than we were thinking. So we have some ambiguity with our doors. So if we look at the hangar bay and we want to have door left and right, we can't just say overlap right door, go to, place on left door, because like there's multiple right doors now. There's a right door from the bridge and a right door from the hangar bay. I don't know. Can you think of another way to explain that, Richard?
Yeah, so basically we have two types of doors here, but we might have more than one connection, right? So right now we're only using one connection type, and it's called pipe 1. If you could change that back to door 1, I think that'll make it a little easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's also a door 2. So we want to be able to connect to 2 rooms at once. But because we're always just loading the map that is connected to door 1, it's always going to load the map that we just came from. So what we need is to have more than one connection type. But we need to be able to have more than one connection type and be able to handle it from an on-overlap handler for a different type of underlying tile. Because right now, if you overlap either one of those 2 doors, the one that's going to the right or the one that's going to the left, it's always going to load door 1. We need to make one that loads door 2 instead.
Right. All right. So what I'm going to do is change the appearance of these doors. So instead of using the same visual in each case, I'm going to make a different visual for the different doors. How does that sound?
Sure.
So you could do a placeholder.
Yeah, you could just door 1 or just big 1.
So I'm gonna say D1 for door 1. Oh, that looks awful. And that's gonna go here, and it's also, so that's on the hangar bay going back to the bridge, and then also we're gonna use that same visual placeholder when we're exiting to the other room from the bridge. So and now for our second room, I'm going to use a different placeholder. So let's go back to the hangar where we have 2 doors, and I'm going to create another placeholder that's D2. Oh gosh, that's a 2, guys, I promise. So now you have door 1, door 2. And now, so what we want to happen, whenever you overlap door 1, you load the connection by door 1, and you get placed on top of door 1. And when you run into door 2, you go through door 2, and you get placed on top of door 2. And we're going to need this change by X probably, but let's see how this works real quick. So now I'm going through my placeholder door, and now I have gone to that room, and I'm not able to get back. Why am I not able to get back? So, man, there are all kinds of puzzles stream.
I think you might
be. What am I missing now? It's the infinite loop.
Yeah. So what you actually need is you need to have door 1 and door 2 for both directions. You need to have one that is a right door and one that is a left door.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the tile map, and I'm going to edit this to be have a little arrow, or let's just put a little indicator light on this side that says this door goes in that direction, and I'm going to duplicate this and make another version that goes in the opposite direction. So we have this placeholder called door 1 or door 2, and we have different ways. So door 1 going to the left, and here door 1 going to the right. And now on both of these, so when I come through door 1 going to the right, then I need to be placed on door 1 coming from the left. If that makes sense. And I'll need to duplicate this as well and switch this so when I'm on door 1 coming from the left, placed on the opposite kind. And we'll worry about door 2 in just a second. Let's just see how this works, and I have a feeling this won't quite work. Let's see. Okay, I expected that to work. Door 1, I think it was on the old tile. Okay, so let me see what I did here. So when the player overlaps door 1, place on top of random door 1 coming from this direction. Do you think we need to do the X offset?
Maybe.
Okay, let's try this. So when we come through the doors, we actually want to be, so when you go through to the left, then we need to shift the player over by 1 tile map so they're not immediately sitting on a door again. And let's do the same thing in the other directions. So now when we come through these doors, you see that we didn't start right on the door, but right next to the door. And that still isn't working.
It doesn't look like it's following the overlaps even.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think we have some things to iron out with this extension, and we might pick this back up in the future.
Yeah. Do you guys want to just in the stream today so we can kind of fix these things up, and then maybe later in this week we'll revisit this program?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Well,
that
thanks for tuning in, everyone. Sorry for the issues that came up. We'll get those sorted out, and then we'll get another stream to you that where things work as they should. Any closing thoughts, you guys?
No, I think you did a great job, Daryl, for with the amount that we had working with this.
Yeah.
This just shows a good example of why it's good to use your own stuff, whether it's with people watching or without, to just kind of find these things. So this was a good exercise. We found some bugs, we found something to work on, and we found some things that people would run into if they were using this extension themselves. So we'll try and integrate our own feedback.
Yeah. And also, you know, when you're loading extensions that have the beta flag, beware that you might see issues like this. Hopefully, most of the extensions you find that are from us on the team that don't have the beta flag are a little bit more rock solid. And as always, feel free to reach out to the forum if you encounter issues like this. We'd love to dig in and figure it out. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. And I am Daryl at Darzoo on the forum.
I'm Richard at the forum and here.
I'm Shannon at Shakao on the forum.
And thanks for tuning in.